Unlock your potential today at skillbakery.com.
In this one, learning how to build a complete to-do list application in it as tracker application using Redux. This will help us in understanding a to-do list reducer, which will allow us to add new to-dos. Writing a to-do list reducer, which will help in toggling the to-do items. So the first thing that we need is this command npx create react app react tracker, and that's the name of our application. Press enter to create the application, and over here press Y to proceed. Now this is installing the packages required to create a basic React application. Once this is done, we'll be going inside the React tracker directory, and inside that directory we'll be installing the necessary packages. When the application has been created, all you need to do is just say cd and then the name of the application. So here we are saying React tracker, and then we can just go ahead and install any missing dependencies by typing npm install, press enter again. Let's clear the screen, and here we'll be now installing the Redux Toolkit, that's also known as RTK, which simplifies state management, and we'll be also installing React Redux package, which allows React to interact with Redux. And these two together can be installed using this command npm install Redux.js toolkit, then a space and then the name of the next package, that's React-Redux. Once we have installed these packages, let's clear the screen, and over here you can see our application is there. So inside the src directory, we need to create a to-do slice. Let's go ahead and do that. We'll say to-do slice.js, and inside this file we will be writing our logic for adding and toggling to-do list items. That we can do by importing create slice from Redux.js toolkit, and here we are using the create slice from React toolkit or RTK, which simplifies reducer logic. Then we have the name, initial state, and reducers. So the initial state is an empty array, as you can see over here, representing an empty to-do list. Reducers, over here you can see we have add to do and toggle to do. These handle mutations, but RTK uses immer internally to keep the state immutable. Here we have add to do, which adds a new to do item with a unique ID, text, and completed status set to false, and then we have the toggle to do, which flips the completed status of a to do based on its ID. So here we have toggle to do, and here we are flipping the completed status. Now over here at the end you can see that we are using to do slice.reducer, which is basically exporting the reducer to be added to the store, and then these actions add to do and toggle to do are also extracted and exported. Now let's go ahead and create the store.js file, which will store all the application state in a central place. So here inside the src directory we will be creating the store.js file, and inside this file we are using the configure store from RTK to create the Redux store, and then we have to-do reducer under to-dos, meaning state.todos holds the to-do list. Finally, we are exporting the store so it can be provided to the React application. Let's go ahead and save these two files and then move to the index.js file that we have. Over here, we need to ensure that we have our React DOM and our provider from React Redux, which will allow us to connect with the Redux. Then we have to also ensure that we have our store imported over here. So let's go ahead and do that as well. So now we have our provider and store app we have already stored over here, and we can get rid of the web vitals for time being. And next thing is to wrap this application inside the provider wrapper. So here we have our app wrapped inside the provider wrapper, and provider, as you can see, takes a parameter store where we are passing the store. So this is basically making Redux Store accessible to all components. Now any React component can use selector and use dispatch to interact with Redux. So the next thing is we will be going inside our app.js file, and this is something which we will have to rewrite. So I'll just get rid of this whole thing and I'll be updating it with our to-do code. So here we are using the React and user state. Then here we are using use selector and use dispatch from React Redux. And then from to-do slice, we are using add to-do and toggle to-do. Initially, as you can see over here, we are using use selector, and then we are initializing the to-dos collection, which is an empty array. We have also created this dispatch, which will be used to dispatch the actions. And here we have the new to-do. Now here we have handle to-do, which checks if the new to-do is there or not. Finally, we are setting it as a new so that the user can enter a new to-do list. Now here we have our Redux to-do list. This is the input that we are using to capture or add new to-do list items. So here we have our type as text, value as new to-do that we have created over here at line number 8. So here on change, what we are doing is when user is typing, we are setting the new to-do, and once user is done typing and they click on the add to-do button, we are calling this handle add to-do, which is kind of, calling the dispatch action, and from there we are using the add to-do within it and passing the new to-do to it. Now, here we are listing out all the existing to-do items that we have created. And if you see over here, we have the key as ID over here, and then on click, we are toggling. So again, we are using dispatch to call this toggle to do action, and we are passing the ID of the do list item. And then here we have the decoration. If the task is completed, that is, the completed value is set to true, then we have a line through style applied. Otherwise, none is applied to it, and the cursor is set to pointer. And finally, we are displaying the text over here, and then we are exporting it. Let's save this and run it. So this is how the application is looking initially. And if I add an item over here, learning React and Redux is fun, then click on add to do. There we go. We have the item created, and if I click over here, you can see that the completed action is taking place, and it kind of now shows that the task is complete. You can add a new task over here. This is really great. And if I click again, add to do, and there you go. So here, if I click on this one more time, you can see that the completed status is now reverted back, and it's back to the original status. Similarly, I can mark any of the items as complete by clicking on them. So to summarize, the first step was to install the dependencies that included Redux Toolkit, commonly known as RTK, and a React Redux package. Then we created the to-do slice.js file inside the src directory, and that was used to manage to-dos using create slice, adds, and toggle to-dos. Then we created store.js, which was using configure store to create a Redux store. And in our index.js file, we made use of the React Redux package, which React was using to communicate with Redux. And if you notice, we wrapped our app inside the provider component. And finally, in our app.js file, we made use of use selector and use dispatch. So here we had our use dispatch, and here we had our use selector to manage to-dos in UI. Finally, to run the application, we use the command npm start, and we demonstrated the to-do list in action.
If you find the video helpful, don't forget to like and subscribe.